All right, I have a question for both of you. Do you remember when you realized that Santa wasn't real?
Are you gonna put this on the podcast?
Yeah.
What if someone who believes in Santa watches the podcast?
Well, it's the point past the point of no return.
It's because my uncle giving my brother and I presents that said it was from Santa, but he would also give us cards on Christmas from Uncle Joe, and it had the same printing. And then when we asked Uncle Joe, we said, "Are you Santa?" He goes, "Well, it's not like I can say anything to deny it now." He's crazy. His name's Joseph.
That's a great name. What about you, Tom?
Actually, something similar to that. My mom has kind of like, I mean, you know your parents' handwriting, and then for a couple of years, always I would look at the gifts under the tree. It'd say to Thomas from mom or to Thomas from dad, but it was all the same thing. And then the Santa gifts would come out on Christmas night or Christmas morning, and then it would be the same writing. So as a kid, I was like always kind of like, hey, my mom and Santa have the exact same writing. That's cool.
Just oblivious to it.
Yeah, but then one day I found a present wrapped from Santa.
Oh my god.
And then after that, I kind of bartered my way for my mom to tell me that Santa wasn't real.
Right.
And then I don't think I ever saw another present from Santa because my mom just kind of, out of spite, would never give me another present from Santa again after that.
Wait, so you were 13?
I was pretty old. Yeah, I was like 12, 13.
Right. Asha, how old were you?
I don't know. I must have been in grade 6. I thought that if my parents knew that Santa wasn't real, that they'd stop giving me as many presents. So being the greedy little bugger that I was, I pretended I believed in Santa until grade 9. My mom was like, "There's no way. Please, just give it up by now." Like,
you don't believe in Santa.
Literally.
What about you, Jax?
See, you guys are so much smarter than I am because I never figured it out. I was just told. Matea just told me. It was like one day it was just like, Santa's not real. And then it went on from there. Maybe I asked. Maybe I was like, is Santa real? And Matea's like, no. You believe in Santa?
No. Do that, eh?
Yeah, it's
How old were you?
Oh, I was little. Like, I was still a little. But I remember going then to my classmates going, Santa's not real. Did you know?
You're awful.
You are the worst kind of person.
But I was so sad. I was so mad about it that I had to
So
go
you
tell
decided to take your rage out on everyone else?
Yeah, no one believed me, though. I was like, I was the shortest kid in the class going up, hey, Santa's not real.
You are literally from Polar Express.
Oh, the know-it-all kid?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what kind of train this is?
That's actually kind of funny. Want to know why that's kind of funny?
Why, Tom?
Well, this is a movie podcast.
Yeah, and it's Christmas time.
Asha.
Oh, shoot.
What movie are we watching?
I gave you the line and everything.
It wasn't open.
Okay.
Okay.
It wasn't open.
What movie are we watching this week?
Today we are watching The Polar Express featuring Tom Hanks by Robert Zemeckis.
Who also made movies like Back to the Future and
Pinocchio, Forrest Gump.
Oh my gosh, he did do Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
Back to the Future.
He's a sleeper.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this one.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time I've watched this movie, but quite honestly, like this movie blew me away as a kid.
I've never seen it.
You never seen this movie?
No, this is my first time ever watching this movie. I used to hate Christmas movies when I was a kid, so my parents knew better than to let me watch it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited to. I know how famous it is, so I'm looking forward.
I mean, you've seen all the memes. You know the annoying kids. So.
Yeah, the one that you look like apparently.
Not apparently. This is an undeniable fact. You are literally him. I don't know his name.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
All right.
I don't even sound like him.
Without further ado, I think we should go watch it.
Yeah, let's go watch it.
Wow! We watched it. That was awesome.
I do look like the kid. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
You sound like him too.
I do not. I don't sound like that kid at all. You don't like that? You don't like me? I'm gonna do the voice now all the time.
Please.
Yeah, you were the one that kept insisting that I look like the guy. So, do you think that was voiced by a kid, or was that voiced by like?
I think an older guy. There's no way a real child sounded like that. That was just embarrassing.
Do you think they try to audition for that though?
Oh yeah.
Hey, we want you to sound really nerdy.
especially back in 2004 when
No,
movies were
okay,
like
it
that.
was someone born in 1957
Oh yeah,
who voiced Annoying Kid.
that voiced him.
He would be nearly
Mhm.
50 by the time he voiced that kid.
Oh, so it wasn't the fact he was annoying; it was the fact he was a chain smoker. That's why he gets his voice.
He actually looks a lot like the character too, which is
Oh, really?
kind of wild.
We're pretty off track here.
Before we get into it, there are like just some fun things I just want to talk about with this movie, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, I forgot how good this movie is. This is kind of one that like I think, oh yeah, it's just Polar Express. But that was a pretty good movie. I had some.
I think
fun.
you say that about every movie.
That's true. Once I watch a movie, I lower my expectations of it, and then I
Right.
never watch it, and then when I come back to it, it's so much better. But yeah, there's just some funny things like it's just the kid walking on top of the train the whole time. There's no way that kid is like heavy enough to hold himself up there. This is the second he climbs up, it's just he's flying right off
Yeah,
that
he's
thing.
gone. Can I take a little bit though? Because this is my first time watching it.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you have
And
to say.
from like just a filmmaker point of view, like I've never made anything CG. Like I don't have that
Mhm.
skill set. But you know now in like the kind of era we're in, we're almost like 90% of everything we watch could be CG, and it's like hyper realistic, and you can get away with it so
Yeah.
easily. My expectations for something from 2004 with the same kind of technology,
Yeah.
but way back, it was like I wasn't expecting it to be good, but
Right.
the way they made this film and the way they made it look, especially with animations and the techniques they used, which was like mocap and all that stuff, was it kind of blew me away for movie made in 2004.
And yeah, this is probably the first movie that like fully used it because there's like stuff like Lord of the Rings where like one of the like Gollum was.
Yeah.
This is probably the first movie that's fully CGI. I want to. Is that fact check?
That's the fact check.
That-
It's the first movie to be, what is it?
Fully
Motion
motion track?
capture,
Yeah,
that
that's
style
cool.
animation for the entirety of the movie.
That's innovative stuff right there.
Yeah. So I was really impressed with that. And I remember saying this to you during the movie,
Mm.
how the animations, like with the way the train interacts with the ice, the
Oh,
way
yeah.
that like it had such good weight to it,
Mm.
which is not so much the character animation, because that was kind of like odd to me sometimes. But when you're looking at stuff like just the train or the bird flying and the ticket flying through the air and that whole sequence,
It just had like nice physics to it.
it really did. It had very convincing animation, and it was fun. It was meant to be like surreal, but in the moments where it's like flying across the ice off the rails, that train looked like it was really out of control. It was interacting with the ice in really cool ways, and I was like, I sat there and I just went, "Oh wow, like this is really impressive." So I have to tip my hat off to the crew and I guess the animators who did it.
It's really cool with movies like this that like allow you like with animation it allows you to really do whatever you want with the story. And this movie really took that and ran cuz some of the sequences are so cool. Just like the whole when the ticket goes flying away, you see it fly over here and then the wolves have it and kick it up again and then the bird grabs it and then it flies here and then it comes back. Like that's just it like you couldn't do that necessarily film it. So it's just that so creative. It's like, okay, we need this ticket to leave, but somehow find its way back. They just like, okay, what's the most like fun way we can do it? But just the amount of creativity that go into some of these shots are so cool.
No, I agree. I can really see how a lot of people would have this as one of their favorite Christmas movies because it was just so different. It was an adventure that I don't think you've ever seen before in the typical Christmas movies that we've grown up with. I really enjoyed it.
You know that IMAX or whatever, like in the roller coaster, would you ever sit and look
Oh,
at yourself
like
on
the
that
photo booth,
Yeah,
the
the
photo
photo
booth roller
booth.
coaster.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. Also, like the Harry Potter ride from Universal.
You're talking about like the sequence when they go down the really steep.
Down the railway, down the slide. And it was the eagle one that I was like, this is so like Harry Potter. You
Right, just
know?
the way you just stick with things and fly through the air,
Have you
right?
been on the Harry Potter
Yeah,
ride?
I know what
Yeah?
you mean. Yeah.
I've never known.
Oh, it was like being on that eagle's back. It was crazy.
Well, because I think with those, it's like they're trying to emulate like a roller coaster, right? So it's like up and down and left. So it's with this, it's like you're following the camera, you're going up, and then you're going down, and you're going left, and then you're dropping really.
I noticed they did that all the time.
There's a lot of movement.
It was actually kind of interesting. I noticed they did that a lot in this movie. And I wonder if that had something to do with like a technical limitation that they had back in the day. Because Nowadays, you have so many different options you can use with digital cameras and 3D softwares and stuff that you can really do anything you want. I wonder if technology at the time limited them to like a camera on rails, because that was all the action that really happened was a camera going through space very quickly on a kind of roller coaster track. It happens literally while they're on the train track going through like those very fast sections and slow sections. And then when they're in the North Pole and they go into the little pneumatic tube chamber, it's another camera on rails. It's like every fast moving scene in that entire movie was like a camera on rails.
I wonder if that was going for a realism, kind of like there was always on dolly track, right? So like if you're shooting that shot in real life, you would lay down a ton of dolly track or you'd put it on like some drone or something. Let's say it was a real camera. You put a whole bunch of dolly track down and a dolly on top is basically like a little train that allows you to push back and forth. And you do that really quickly. So I wonder if that's what they were going for is realism. It was trying to make it look like it was always on some sort of dolly track or attached to something.
Yeah, maybe. But then I think about it again too, and you just reminded me the whole ticket sequence. It wasn't
Right.
necessarily. It was. I mean, it was following the ticket, but it was.
But that Asha's really right to say that felt kind of like a little roller coaster thing.
Okay, yeah.
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 This movie has really great movement and it takes having a versatile camera. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool some of the stuff they do with the camera.
And it's filmmaking that we've never seen before, and filmmaking we can't really accomplish in the real world because it really allows you to detach the camera from reality. You know, like there's that shot where the camera goes in under the ice when the bell lands by the boy's feet, right? Like you could never do that in real life. It would be extremely difficult to do, but there's an element that you have to have digital filmmaking a part of a shot if you were even to attempt it in real life. But just completely detaching reality from filmmaking allows you to do insane stuff, which really works into this whole theme of Christmas magic.
Yeah.
You know?
The whole movie really seems to be about, seeing is believing. And the whole thing is really shot like this one massive dream sequence. Like everything is, the camera does things it shouldn't do. We see things we probably should, like, it's just so cool. How far that really goes into the filmmaking is that aspect of it all. Even including the amount of times we see Tom Hanks as different characters, right? Like it's so clearly Tom Hanks, but it's like, well, is it this much of like a kind of a dream that he's just seeing the same person in his dreams, stuff like that. Just really fascinating the level of thought that would go into that. And I don't know if it's just me or I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of cool you mentioned that it was all Tom Hanks, right?
Yeah.
A lot of pretty much every character in some aspect was motion capped by Tom Hanks. And I guess I don't really have this answer, but I'm kind of wondering why the production did it like that. Was it to save money? Was it
Well,
to...
I mean, ultimately you would save money, but at the same time, Asha halfway through the episode looked up how much did Tom Hanks make off that movie?
$100 million. Because he played 7 characters. Also,
Yeah, he was a producer on it, so you make
he made like
you make movie money.
20% of the gross, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
But he made $100 million.
yeah. So he plays what? The little boy. He plays the conductor. He plays Santa. He plays the hobo.
The dad.
The dad. Doesn't he? I feel like he plays those 2 engineer guys.
Yeah, he must.
He must have. Those totally seem. I'm sure he played the elves. The elves. They sound like Tom Hanks that chain smoked for like 20 years.
Yeah. Well, don't forget Steven Tyler was in this.
Steven Tyler up. That was so funny.
Well, maybe to switch some gears up a bit here, let's talk about Christmas and how, Christmas movies and, that's kind of our theme for this month, I guess, is Christmas movies, right?
Yeah.
I guess I'll lead into this by saying I know a lot of people, especially myself, look at Christmas movies as only Christmas movies.
Right.
And you don't ever watch a Christmas movie any time of the year. At least I don't, and the people I know don't. How do you feel The Polar Express stands as a movie on its own? Or do you feel like it's more of just a movie you watch at Christmas or a timeless piece of film history? Like what would you think about if I were to ask you that question?
I think especially when it comes to film history, like it's so revolutionary for what it did for like when it comes to CGI and stuff. Like think about if technical advances weren't made like this, like eventually someone would have done it, but it's so cool that this movie did it. And it didn't really feel like a Christmas movie. Like, yeah, they're going to see Santa and the whole thing, but it's more about, believing in something than it is about Christmas. But even after that, it's really just takes place on this train that's headed to the North Pole.
Yeah, like it felt more of an adventure movie to me than a Christmas movie.
Mm.
I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that it didn't really say much about Christmas until like the very, very end. But yeah, no, it until the very end, like yeah, you know what the baseline is that it's Christmas based. You're going to the North Pole in this train, but over half of the movie takes place on this train, more of building a connection with the other kids on the train and getting there in one piece rather than oh, this is Christmas and this is the Christmas spirit kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just like a kind of a feel good adventure movie.
Yeah. See, I had a couple issues with the actual plot and themes of it.
Yeah, there really isn't that much there.
No. And I think it really was a movie based around the technology that they could use
Yeah.
rather than the whole Christmas spirit that a lot of these Christmas movies are made for. I feel like Tom Hanks saw the budget and was able to make this movie, but the only way he could do it is if it was a Christmas movie because of whatever reason. And he was like, okay, yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, also think Monster House, which was pretty much just, I guess, the sequel to this. And
Yeah, but maybe this was the test run for
4 months.
Zemeckis to make Monster
Right.
House, you know? Like, I wonder if they got together.
That's also a Halloween movie,
It
right?
came out after, didn't it?
Oh, when did it come out? Asha's already on it.
2006,
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple years after.
But wait, but like when?
July 21st, 2006.
July?
Early Halloween.
That's
It's
true.
not. I wouldn't call it a Halloween movie though.
No?
It's just like
Oh, it's just- I
you
guess
know
it's
how
just a
horror
scary movie.
movies. We don't say horror movies are Halloween movies.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
It's just like a children's version of a horror movie in a sense.
That's
know?
actually, I'm going to jump off that point
Yeah.
and say Christmas movies only come out during Christmas, but horror movies come out all around the year. So that's like
That's true.
another thing. It's like Christmas movies are made for Christmas and for the Christmas season and the holidays.
I think this movie could stand on its own. I think the only thing that really makes it a Christmas movie is the fact that they go to see Santa. I think this could work anytime. You could show this to someone any point in the year and you'd be like, oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Especially at the time too, because I keep thinking back to when the first time I saw this movie, I was like, oh my gosh, is this real?
Yeah, like we look at movies now, like we have Endgame, Multiverse, like all these Marvel movies where it's like, if it's not perfect, we get very upset.
Yeah. How different it was because we've gotten so used to it though, so there were such high critiques of it, right?
Yeah, like we watch She-Hulk now, and if she doesn't have perfect pore distribution across her face and perfect subsurface scattering, we get all upset and complain about the uncanny valley.
Yeah. But we also know so much more about it than we did like think back to this when it's like, oh my gosh, is this real? Is this fake?
I wonder if people watched this back in 2004 if they felt uncomfortable by the character models and this whole uncanny valley thing.
What is the uncanny valley?
I'll try my best to explain it here. From my understanding, the uncanny valley is like when someone or something is trying to impersonate human emotion and they push the boundaries of how close they can get, but because it's not quite human and not quite real, humans have a reaction where we're kind of like pushed back by it and feel a little uncomfortable. But the further away from human emotion you get, takes you on one either side of the uncanny valley. Like it's way above like most animated movies, like Disney movies and like Pixar movies and stuff.
So like one side of it's cartoon, one side's real, right?
Yeah, and there's a spot in the middle, specifically when you're trying to recreate human emotion with an object or within a movie or something digital. There's a spot where you can really tell human emotion, but it's not human.
Yeah, the eyes are way bigger than a human's would be, or the faces.
So we can comfortably recognize that,
Mm.
but then we can also comfortably recognize things that are nowhere near human, that are nowhere near human emotion, and we can comfortably recognize them as well. But then somewhere in the middle, there's a part where there's not quite human trying to demonstrate human emotion, and that's our dip, where we look at it and we're like, that is not human trying to be human.
It just freaks you out, like you're looking at some like Gollum.
Exactly.
Right? Where it's just this creepy.
And then that's where we go, oh, that's weird. And that's the uncanny valley.
Right.
Did that trigger for you during this movie at all?
I was looking for it because, I mean, I've seen this movie before and I was curious because I haven't seen it for a long time. Because I know when I watched it, I was blown away and I thought this movie was real as a kid. Watching it back now, there's moments where it's really like, oh, what's wrong with that? But I mean, you can never really put your finger on it, right?
Yeah, and that's the uncanny valley.
That's the uncanny valley. It's like, you don't know what's wrong with it, but something's wrong. But there's a lot of moments, especially a lot of shots where it looks so good, especially without the people in it. Like, there's a shot of when the train stops on the ice, and you see all the ice, like, that's built up on the train, on the wheels and stuff. There was a couple shots like that that were really good. But again, there's a couple shots in there that didn't. But for the most part, I think they did a pretty good job. Like, for example, one of the things that we see in CG that usually trigger is the way the mouth moves. So, for example, when we talk, we can't actually move, like with a muscle, we can't move our upper lip. We move it by pushing in or pushing up.
Yeah, like with our
like
cheeks,
lips,
right?
With our cheeks or with the bottom lip. You can't actually push up. For example, when you animate something like that and the lip needs to move up, you just animate it to move up. And that's one of the places where the uncanny valley pulls in, is because we see that, we realize that looks weird, and then it just pulls you out of it.
Yeah, like that weird flap that an upper lip does in like a video game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
All of that to say, this movie did a pretty good job of that upper lip. Now, that's what I was specifically looking for, because that's one of the things I know. Right? But it was pretty well made. What do you think, Asha?
The waiters made me very uncomfortable. You know that hot chocolate scene? Their eyes did not move. Their eyes did not move once, and I wanted to vomit. It was really creepy. And those elves, like, I was completely repulsed when I saw the Steven Tyler elf. Oh my gosh. I couldn't. Oh my gosh. That was terrifying.
That's another thing, too, is Steven Tyler's a very recognizable person. And it's obvious they were trying to like mimic Steven Tyler's persona in an elf.
Right.
And like in all the other characters, it's not like they're trying to make Tom Hanks look like Tom Hanks, you know? Like these are still characters that resemble him in one way or another, but they're not Tom Hanks.
No.
You know, they're close, but not quite. The Steven Tyler elf was like gross. It's like, oh, that's supposed to be him, but it's not, you know? And that's another thing too, is when you get a person's likeness and try to mimic it in digital software, that's another thing that really triggers it for people.
Yeah, it's like The Rock, the classic shot of The Rock in, I don't remember, maybe
The Mummy, Scorpion King.
Yeah, the Scorpion King.
Yeah, that's another famous example, right? Video games have been doing it a lot.
Remodeling after the actor that plays it.
Yeah, and sometimes it hits and sometimes it just doesn't. I guess to wrap this whole thought up, I think this movie does it okay.
For the first film that ever did it, I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, wanted to Asha's point, saying about the waiters in the hot cocoa scene. You said how their eyes didn't move and their eyes looked dead. That's another thing they did. So all the main characters, and I'm shocked for one of the first movies to ever do this, did it so well, is they had the light in the eyes. I think it was King Kong. I don't know which version of it, but I remember seeing something and they were talking about how they showed to you that King Kong had died. What they did was they took that light out of his eyes.
What I learned in college was that if you light your scene where you don't have a light in your character's eyes, no matter how good the performance is, no matter how nice it looks, if you don't have at least one tiny little light in an actor's eyes, it's going to look weird to your audience.
Well, yeah, we're so used to looking at each other eye to eye. When I'm talking to you right now, I'm looking right in your eye. When I look over to Asha, I'm looking in her eye. That's where you look when you talk to someone, and when you don't see it like you normally see it, right?
And that's also why when a focus puller is doing his or her job, you're focusing on the eyes. If they're in frame, it's the eyes that you want in focus.
Yeah.
You know, unless there's something very pertinent to the scene that needs to be put in focus. But any other time, it's the eyes in focus, and there's a subconscious reason for that, which jumps back to the uncanny valley and how humans perceive other emotions.
It's all in the eyes.
The fact that this movie was very aware of that added another level to how impressive it was.
Mm-hmm. Hey, can we take a quick break and tell you about our Patreon subscription and its juicy benefits? Listen to this, and we'll be right back in a minute.
Hello, listeners. It's Jackson's mom. I'm here to tell you about our Patreon. If you subscribe to our Patreon starting at $3 a month, you can unlock early access to videos and podcast episodes, be a part of live episodes, receive free monthly gifts, and hear full versions of our podcast with bits like this.
Have you watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? The original version where it's like they're felt?
I have not.
You need to.
Wait, you haven't seen that one?
You need to. His little noise goes...
Like I said, I never watched Christmas movies.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the OG version. Oh, I love it. And the Abominable Snowman, I wanted him to be my boyfriend when I was younger. Honestly,
sorry.
no joke. Not like the actual guy, but like the guy, the little mountain dude with the ginger
So you
beard.
want Jared to be your boyfriend?
I want the mountain man, the Abominable Snowman dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was always with the snowman.
So, subscribe to our Patreon today at patreon.com/Jackson Studios. And now, back to the show.
Thanks, Mom. Where were we?
Now, how do you think it held up as just a movie? In terms of story, writing, cinematography, performance, how do you feel about the movie? Putting all the technological improvements aside.
Overall, that was a pretty bad story. Like, there really wasn't anything there other than, like, because the whole thing was about him believing, right? But that was, like, the B plot of this whole movie was him believing. It was just little conversations he had. It was fun, and I enjoyed the movie, but it was just, like, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Especially because we've been writing recently, so you and I have been really focused on
Story,
story and it was just funny to see.
What about you, Asha? As someone who's not necessarily super into the world of filmmaking as Jax and I are, what did you feel about just the movie itself?
I thought that with this whole journey, like, he's roughing it. I was like, wow, North Pole's gotta be worth it. And then they bring you to some, like, Soviet era, like, oh my gosh, like, communist bloc. It was crazy. There's, like, steam coming out of the buildings. Every house looks the same. There is no Christmas cheer. Only industrialism. I hated it. I hated how and then Santa's like some
That scene was scary.
authoritarian like figure. Like, it was so scary. Like, all the elves are in that square. They like do a suicide mission jumping off that thing. It was so terrifying. It was so scary. If I was a child, I wouldn't want to believe in Santa. I wouldn't want that to be a reality. I would just hope that it was my parents and not this scary, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you called it out when we got to it, how scary it was when they start singing. What were they singing? There was,
it was like,
you better shout.
Yeah.
You better not cry. But they started
they're saying
really
it
slowly.
and they're
so
all like
creepy.
moving in unison, like all the little elves, okay?
And then Santa just kicks the door open.
And the whole little routine where they bring tourists in and then like nominate one of them to get this early, like, it was so weird. It was so
it's
weird.
midsummer. The North Pole is just midsummer.
No, actually, absolutely.
I think the funniest part of all that is this kid goes through this big journey, makes this friend who is very clearly a non-believer of Christmas, very clearly grew up in a poor household, and like this journey means the world to this little boy. And then at the very end, the main kid gets nominated for a present and whispers in Santa's ear,
Oh,
I just want a bell. I was like, dude, how are you not going to give it to Billy?
Right?
This kid never got a Christmas present.
he literally
He's here, gone through the same stuff that you went through on this entire journey, and you're just like, yeah, I don't need a present.
No, saying I want a bell. I want a bell right now.
I'm just happy I can hear the Christmas bell from your sleigh, dude. And then Billy goes home to his tiny little home first. He doesn't even get to do the entire train ride home. He's first to get dropped off, and he only gets one present from Santa, knowing that his parents didn't give him any other presents. That was like, dude, you don't believe in anything. You don't believe in the Christmas spirit. You're just selfish.
Right?
You
Justice
get to go
for
home
Billy.
to like a loving family with a sister and two parents who love you and just really want you to believe in the magic of Christmas. And you just robbed this poor child of his life. Like, this kid's gonna get into some nasty stuff because his parents didn't love him. And you had every opportunity you could have had.
Right? If he gave it up, Billy could have been like, Santa, like, give me a loving family and a prosperous future as a Christmas gift. But no, Billy wanted his bell.
Yeah.
No, not Billy. What's his name? Whoever the main character was.
His name is Hero
Hero
Boy.
Boy.
He doesn't have a name.
He doesn't have a name?
No. So,
Hero Boy?
Okay, so that comes from in script writing, like your main character is your hero, right? And the villains are the villains. So they just literally just named it Hero Boy based off the fact he was the boy and the hero of the story.
Yeah.
And then the girl is the hero girl. And
I
then
thought her name's Sarah.
No, the mom's name is Sarah, I think.
Yeah. So they say the names, but they credit all these kids, even the know-it-all boy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think he deserved to get a present, if I'm being honest.
The know-it-all?
No,
No,
you're
he
wrong.
did.
You're completely wrong,
was-
and you're just
I'm
saying
joking.
this because he looks like you.
I hated that kid.
Oh no, I thought that game was pretty cool.
vomit in my mouth.
I hated that kid. Because I was that kid when I was a kid. I like trains and stuff, and like I would always tell people all these cool facts, and I was just like, yeah, no, I didn't deserve Christmas when I was a kid, and neither does that guy.
Hey, you know what kind of train this is? It's a magical train.
No, it's the
No, it's a-
E95 locomotive. Shut up. Oh my god. Just let me believe in Santa.
So, general consensus is for a Christmas movie, it's historical and it's
Yeah.
nostalgic, but for a movie, it was kind of sweet, whatever, but it was very like meh.
But it was fun watching all those sequences and watching all the stuff they did with the camera and the animation. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I had a blast watching it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I think it sucked as a Christmas movie. If they took out that last bit and like ended the movie on like a crazy train crash, I would have been much more satisfied.
Oh my.
But like they had to ruin it. The Christmas scene made me so upset. So upset.
You really hated
I
it?
really, really hated it because are you serious? Are you serious? You're telling me Santa is a contributor to pollution? That's not true. Like it just takes away the magic of these elves like hand making all these gifts. There's factories.
And the fact that all the kids are on the TV sleeping.
That's terrifying.
was
And it's
so-
real kids. It's
It was
real
real
kids.
kids, they
I don't know
filmed
why.
it.
It's the only place where like real video footage is in the movie, and it's like black and white footage of like thousands of children sleeping. It's
I
so
didn't do
scary.
Not to mention, there's just like one dictator elf that gets to decide like
Right?
all these naughty kids, and the one kid in the movie who like came off on the naughty list, they just repeated this kid like in tears, like it wasn't me.
I didn't do
It wasn't me.
Yeah, that was so scary. That was
It
so
wasn't.
scary.
I'm like, this kid is like 5, and this elf is like,
Yeah, we'll put him on the naughty list next year. We'll cut him a break.
Except it was like, well, what about the naughty list
Oh,
next
yeah,
year? Because they
sorry.
like high pitch all
Sorry.
the elves'
No.
voices.
I got the voice for you.
Yeah.
We'll put him on the list next year.
no, it was the check twice list.
The check twice list. We'll put him on the check twice list.
It was so scary. What was up with the reversing of like audio tapes? You know what I'm saying? Like when they
Yeah.
were walking in the factory, like it was like
Oh, like the skipping of the. They really.
It was so scary.
This is a horror movie. This isn't a Christmas
So
movie. This was
scary.
meant to be scary.
I was
Hey,
on
but
the edge of my
not-
seat. I was worried. I
Not to
was
mention
worried.
that when they're on the train and they go through the abandoned toy thing, and then the hobo starts messing with the puppets. That scene totally scared the crap.
I
out
gotta
of me.
be real, actually. This movie does suspense very, very well.
Yeah.
Like it really triggers uncomfortable when you're watching this movie, and sometimes it's on purpose and sometimes it's by mistake, but it does it well.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that they took Christmas, which is usually this happy, jolly thing, and just put these kids through hell.
Yeah. But
Like-
he got a bell. He got a bell out of it.
Oh, he got Christmas spirit back at the end of
Yeah.
it. And then he put it in his holy pocket and it fell out. Like, what an
Holy
irresponsible little
pocket.
child.
I like that.
Asha, did you watch this as a kid?
I did watch it as a kid when, like, in my elementary school, we had movie days where if your parents paid $20, your whole family could go to the local Cineplex theater,
Oh,
and they would screen the Polar Express on the big screen.
Yeah, you gotta.
Anyway, no, sorry, Asha. The reason I was asking, how did it make you feel as a kid versus how did it make you feel now?
As much as I've been dogging on that know-it-all kid, like, I was probably also that know-it-all kid when I was a child, because I remember getting in, like, very, very heated arguments with my classmates about, like, whether or not it was real people.
Like in this movie?
Like, in the, yeah, like, half the class was, like, convinced it was, like, live action, and the other half was, like, no, it's animated.
I
Wow.
thought it was live action.
I don't remember what side I was on, but, like, that was a heavy debate. I thought it was really scary. I never went to theater nights watching Polar Express because I really hated the elves, and it's because I grew up with a Santa book that like showed me like it was a little village, okay, and like
yeah.
everything's handmade, and you know they
This
they
was weird.
feed the reindeers, like
Yeah.
there's specific elves who tend to the reindeers and like feed them carrots and oats.
You're expecting
this
like the
is, like-
Santa Claus.
This is like an army coming out and like they're like whipping the reindeer. Are you kidding me?
this little rainbow
whip?
That was
The whip? Are you Santa would not condone animal cruelty.
That's a really I
He
love
would
that
not.
point actually, because this takes Christmas in a completely different vein.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I grew up with the Santa Claus, like the Tim Allen Santa Claus, where it was a tiny little cute village, underground, and like
except when Martin Short takes it over.
I actually never seen that.
Wait, oh, that's
No.
like the best one.
But yeah, no, it was always this cute little thing where all these elves loved each other and had fun, and now, like, I'm really thrown off at how industrial, like, in
It
your
was so
words,
dystopian. It was
Yeah.
so dystopian. And like, why is Santa like the train conductor's really gonna leave that poor kid behind? Like, get the train going. We don't want to be late. No, no. Santa is a kind and caring man who would wait for him. He would wait for him.
This kid's like talking to a 4-year-old, and he's like, "All right, well, if you don't want to come on, then
Yeah,
screw you, I guess.
Just go home. Go back inside. I don't care.
I don't care if your
We're
parents
gonna be
beat you.
late.
I don't care if you're in an abusive house and you're not getting any presents. We gotta get to the North Pole on time."
I
I've
like
never-
also time's frozen. in
Right?
this, so all of that is just baloney. Time's literally frozen. That's the whole point.
dogging on this movie as much as we just did.
It's just fun too.
I enjoyed it. I genuinely did.
I really do.
I don't think it's one of my favorite Christmas movies that I've ever seen, but I can definitely understand why it's had such a like a warm place in people's hearts, because it's adventure and it's meant for kids. It's meant to be exciting, meant to show kids that Christmas is like this big grandiose thing that if you believe in it will really kind of like help you enjoy the holidays and everything like that.
It's really for the kids that are doubting Christmas, and like literally that's the kid in the beginning of the movie who's like he's looking up the North Pole and like the dictionary, well not the dictionary, but whatever.
That was a
book.
good little thing. Remember how you're talking about the bell on the ice?
Yeah.
See through? Like
Look.
also desolate land. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like the little contrast between the two only see-through moments where the first one is him like
Ooh.
completely
Asha.
doubting it and the second one is him like completely believing.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
wow!
awesome.
Oh my gosh!
Good stuff.
I am an
Asha.
English major. I don't understand anything about the cinematography, but if you're
That
asking
was
about
a good-
symbolism,
no, that's
his
that's a
eye.
beat. That's a good beat of the movie right there. That was good.
We've probably been chatting for quite a while
yeah.
at this point. We should
Thanks.
probably start wrapping her up.
I'm not a big guy in Christmas movies. I've watched every Christmas movie probably every year since I was a kid.
Do you say
so-
you've watched every Christmas movie?
Well,
What did you
Have
say?
you met Jackson?
what I was saying was I've seen every Christmas movie, almost every Christmas movie every year on repeat. That's what our family does, is we sit down and watch Christmas movies.
Wow. I think for the month of December, it's really this whole like spiel of me being like the negative Nancy one of this podcast is going to come in true because I don't watch Christmas movies. I've always kind of been a bit of a Grinch. It's really changing this year for some reason. I'm very in the spirit and feeling very festive, but my family never loved Christmas movies. Like
Really?
Yeah, we've never really. I think I watched like one Christmas movie, and that was like Elf, or no, it was the Santa Claus when I was young, and that was like the only one I would watch.
But no one would watch it with you. It's just you watch it by yourself.
No, I would make my family watch
Oh,
it
yeah.
with me. Because I remember.
Were you Billy?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
was
why you
Billy.
felt so strongly about him needing justice?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, well, this is a nice little moment.
I remember we would go up to my grandfather's, and he would have the Santa Claus 2 on DVD.
Oh, is that why you just randomly pulled up the Santa Claus 2?
Yeah, and I have never seen the original, just the Santa Claus 2 on that DVD, which had like a game on it, and it, like you could throw snowballs at the fake elves or the fake Santa Clauses in that, and I would watch the movie and then just play the video game, but I would make everyone else in the house all watch the movie with me. One of the only Christmas movies I've ever seen was that one.
Well, I will. You can come and watch all of them with me.
I don't know if I'm interested in that.
Oh,
I love Christmas, but maybe not that much.
Oh, I thought Asha was good. You definitely look like you were gonna say something there.
was I?
No, the moments pass.
I hate this movie as a Christmas movie. This movie is the worst Christmas movie, but it's not a bad movie.
It demoralizes Santa.
It does.
and
It paints Santa in a horrible light. It misrepresents the joy that the Santa Claus village stands for. I don't like it. It makes me
Our-
so sad and upset. It's so gray.
Our listeners who love this movie
Oh,
are gonna be so mad.
I don't care because you know what? Why'd they make it so gray? Why is Santa's village
Yeah.
so gray?
No,
Why
that's
are
not
they
just
all
well,
living
boy.
in like
That's
state sanctioned apartments? Why is that? Why don't they live in their own home built little villages where they can go visit their neighbors and like
there's like 60 of those elves that are late on rent this month and are gonna be evicted.
Literally,
Cold,
like that was so
desolate,
scary.
snowy
I
hills
really
of the
didn't
North
like it
Asha's
at
ready to
all.
throw hands.
And there's also like a
Listeners.
clear hierarchy within the elves, which is like making me so uncomfortable. Like, why is this actually? It's an
This
army.
episode should just
It is an
fade out.
army.
Yeah,
This
fade
is
out.
no,
Start
like
fading
honestly,
out
if you
right now.
just switched it from like the title from like the Polar Express to like the Communist Express,
be
like
right
you
back.
would really like properly represent
Thanks for
so
listening
many
to Mixed
communist
Reviews.
republics. That's all I'm saying.
We'll see you next time. Yeah.
I hate you, Polar Express. I hate you, Polar Express.
All right.
Mixed reviews.
Thanks for listening to our Christmas episode. Sorry, Asha. We're just doing a bit.
You guys suck.
Thank you.
Just like Polar Express's representation of the North Pole does.
Alrighty, that's okay.
Alright.
That was fun. I enjoyed watching that movie, and I
Yeah,
think
no, I
Asha's very
enjoyed it.
right. But it's time to wrap it up. Thank you for sticking with us and listening. We'll be back not next week, every
Sometime.
other week.
Sometime.
We'll be back with one more Christmas movie before the new year.
We'll be back when we're back.
But yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye. I just think it's stupid.
Are you
I
okay
do think it's so stupid. It's so gray and it's so upset and angry.
I just want you to know, Asha, that rant was hilarious.
Hey there, I'm Jackson's mom, and this has been Mixed Reviews with Tom McMahon and Jackson Brotherton. If you want to suggest a movie, leave us a voice message on our website. This has been a Jackson Studios entertainment production. Thank you for listening.
What do I do? Press the space bar?
Yeah, do whatever you want.